Welcome to this installment of Open World Chat, where we are going to be treated with part 2 of our conversation with Star Trek's Tim Russ.
In this episode, Tim has lots to say about topics that aren't race on Star Trek. I don't want to give anything away because it's a wide-ranging discussion, but he had a lot of opinions that I think are quite valuable and very topical.
All right, well, let's get to it. Here's Tim Russ.
I'm going to put you on the spot and ask if you're watching the rebirth of Star Trek.
Not right now, no, because I have to get, I'm not going to subscribe to a whole bunch of, I'm not subscribing to 15 different platforms to watch a show. I'm already up to 2 or 3 as it is now. Man. And I'm a little bit not happy about any of that. This subscriber mentality, which I go back to the boardroom with the high back chairs and the 3 Blackberries, because they're all sitting around saying that's crap now. And it's not just television. It's other things. It's applications for software and things like that. Mm-hmm. They want you to pay every month. They want to take money out of your credit card every month. That's the concept now. That's the business model right now. Right there in New York on Manhattan and whatever it is, all the high back chairs and the skyscrapers and the boardrooms. It's all about, hey, JP, how can we, make money? Just taking everybody's a piece of money from everybody we can every single month, no matter what the service is, no matter whether they need it or not. Mm-hmm. Let's find a way to take some money out of their pocket every single month. That's what this is.
Yep.
Application software that used to be able to buy. No, they don't. No, they want you to subscribe to it. Even though you may not use it more than one week out of the whole year, you got to pay for it every month, which is not for you. That's for them. And so subscriber services now, instead of it being a la carte, which is what it should be a la carte. Mm-hmm. It should be, I go on there, so I want to watch this show and I want to pay for $2, $10, whatever it is, and watch it. And then if I only watch 3, I only watch 3. And I want to go over there and I watch that, and I want to watch that for $5 or whatever it comes out to. Everybody takes a little piece and we get on with it. Instead of having to sign up for an entire streaming service, I'm only going to watch one show on. Does that make any sense to me? No, it doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm not interested in that. I do like science fiction and all that good stuff, but I'm going to wait until it comes on another platform and I'll watch it then.
There you go.
Now, if that, maybe I will, maybe I won't, I tend to prefer, I tend to prefer, types of series that are, not, solid cast every year, like anthologies a little bit more and serials a little bit more than anything else. Those are the kinds of shows I typically gravitate to. I don't typically gravitate to series projects that have, a set cast and it's a different episode every week. I don't watch that much of that stuff. I watch movies. I love movies. And I watch serials. I do like serials. And I watch anthologies. I love anthologies. Black Mirror, Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, all that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff I love, absolutely love, because I get a different story every time.
I was going to say, it's kind of like with music nowadays where, everything is basically the same. If you are listening to a given station or whatever, you're always going to hear the same thing, even if they change the lyrics a little bit, And why?
Yeah, you can't. You can't. You don't know where. You don't know where the next revolution is coming from, whether it's music or whether it's television. What's the next big thing that most of us will be sitting around scratching our head about, going, "What in the world is that?" And that doesn't make any sense. But it completely breaks the mold of everything we've had beforehand, and that is a hell of a challenge, man. When you had so much out there and so many people doing so many things. How do you break that mold? How will you end up on the front end of the wave, the crest of the wave rather than behind the wave on what you create? Will it be a concept? Will it be a way in which you watch the television show? Is it going to be 3-dimensional? Is it going to be 3D? Is it going to be VR? Is it going to be, what's going to be the thing that breaks the same kind of stuff we've had, something outside of a cop show and a doctor show and a lawyer show. God, I can't watch any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I've worked on so many that I can't, there's no way I'm going anywhere near that stuff. No way.
Well, I have a feeling to the, probably the answer to your question is video games. It's probably already happening.
Well, I think it'll be immersion is what it's going to be. It's going to be immersive. Immersion is probably what's going to, VR. It's where it's going to go. It's going to be people feeling as though they're in the scene itself, feeling as though it's around them and taking place around them, and even participating themselves in the action and the drama. That's where it's going to end up going. Yeah. Dare I say holodeck, but that's the direction we're headed. I think as far as the technology goes, because that is going to change, and being a passive casual viewer is going to become very different. There's going to be so many other options for people to actually put their hands in and get up dirty, watching a drama or doing something, feeling as though they're part of it in some way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't know how that's going to actually take place, but some kind of way it's going to take place. They're never going to stop making those changes. And eventually, hell yeah, it will be a holodeck, and that'll be the end of it,
Yep. Right. Getting there.
Nothing will get done. Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that, because my daughter and I used to do interactive murder mysteries on Antique Crane.
Yeah.
And, I think technology is coming to the point where you will be able to have audience members participate in shows. And
yep.
I think that may be coming. Yeah.
I think it's coming right now. They started doing it a little bit on a couple of shows. They did it on Black Mirror, where they had the audience be able to influence the way the show goes, the direction of the show. You can do that now because you have the Wi-Fi and streaming, and you can instantly put in something, and instantly, the producers or creators can try to change the story based on the input. You can do it like American Idol, except you can do it with a story. So you shoot two different versions, like a Christmas tree. You shoot 2 or 3 different versions, and you give the audience a choice of which way to go. And you've already got those things shot. And then from there, you shoot 2 different versions of that, where that goes. And each time you give them a choice, you've got 3 different versions of which way to go, already produced, so that they can feel as though, as a majority, they can influence the way in which a character behaves. It can be done now. You can do it today because of the tech and how fast it can be. Mm-hmm. And it may take place from one episode to the next to give everybody time to tabulate whatever it is that has to be tabulated. But it's not unlike, I said, American Idol, where the audience decides who's going to stay on and who isn't. And you can do the same thing episodically every week to decide whether this character chooses door number 1 or door number 2. And you shoot the ending for door number 2 and door number 1. And you just put on whichever one the majority says. And so that concept has actually been bandied around a couple of times. Could happen.
Yeah. Cool. And I would be remiss, since we're talking around the edge of video games here, and where, there was some discussion whether or not that Black Mirror episode should have been nominated in Video Game Awards as a video game in a sense. And you can see that, but I just want to make sure that I mention that my kids got introduced to character of Tuvok and then pulled into Voyager because of Elite Force.
Oh, yes, Elite Force. Yeah.
And in fact, they're older now, but we just a couple of weeks ago, they're like, I want to play that again. We've got a Windows XP emulator on our computer just so they can go back and play Elite Force. So,
so they can go back in time. Yes, technologically, as it were, because Elite Force is now approaching the age of the dinosaurs.
Seriously.
I just tossed out, I don't know, I had a bookcase I was moving, and I tossed out I had a whole entire rack of stuff in that bookcase that was, all of it was obsolete, completely obsolete, like beyond obsolete. The layers of dust on it could tell the story. None of that stuff was working anymore. And I remember when it used to. I used to rely on it for whatever reason. Not anymore. There isn't even a disc player built into the computers anymore. So that's that. It's interesting that there's a couple of things they could do on Discovery, I think, that would be fascinating. In terms of what we're going through now. They could do a pandemic story, which would be fascinating. They could certainly do that as an episode right now. They could do one on the obsolescence of technology, or the changing of a culture going through these massive changes. And that's an episode right there. And what are the consequences? What are the pitfalls? What are the how do people react to and deal with? What's the potential cataclysm for that? And that could be a very cool episode for Discovery or one of the other shows like that. I think is fascinating. They could the shows typically, like I said, television. Sometimes it's a tug of war between whether or not the TV is that art is imitating life, or that life is imitating the art that's coming out. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity for the art to imitate what's really going on, to take these stories, to take these kinds of things and put them on the screen. I mean, we have just lived through what would have been a movie, and that is, of course, if a studio would buy it, which they wouldn't. I mean, they'd say, "Get the hell out of here!" Who's next? We're not going. There's no way that's going to happen. No, there's no way. Get out of here. Go away. Go learn how to write.
Right.
No. We lived through something that would have been a movie. That's basically it. We literally lived through something that could have been a movie, and it's still. The reverberations are still coming through. We're still getting the shock waves that are still coming through one after the other for that very thing. Yeah. The whole entire society. I mean, how that's an episode of a show, man.
Yeah. How
your society is completely turned upside down, like completely gone off the rails, of reality. And we are literally living through that in real time. And that's something in which, they've got to tackle that stuff. They have to go after that. Those are stories, man. Those are stories. So, I know, but I haven't had a chance. I think I've seen, some trailers and some promos for it. I understand the pieces are done very well. They look really good. I heard that people liked Picard's show a little bit more than Discovery, which is, eventually I'll take a peek at them and see what's going on. But, I tend to gravitate to various types of science fiction and mostly movies in that vein. I just adore feature films. I was raised on them and I just love them. So, when I was growing up, I didn't watch that much TV, because we didn't have that much. I was overseas. We didn't have any TV to watch. So
right.
All we had was movies all day, albeit they were 5 months or 6 months after they'd been released, but that's all we had. So that's what I was raised on. I love movies. I love stories, that have an arc, beginning, middle, and end, so, that's what I like to see, because then you don't have any dead air, man. You don't have any space. Right. I watch some of these shows literally. I can take the remote and I can just scan through, the waste of time scenes, the filler scenes. And just get to the meat. Well, okay, what happens next? All right, what happens next? I just want to know what happens next.
Yeah, we do that.
You know what I'm talking about. All that other, stuff, meandering and jibber jabber and over here and what I got the relationship of whatever. Yeah. Just give me the where are we going with this thing? Let me get through it. I'm gonna waste up 45 minutes of my time otherwise. I don't have it.
I actually use that time to read some reading, and then I look up to pay attention, and then I go back and read and pay attention.
Oh my God, you're worse. That's even worse. You're actually reading while the show is on. How do you even do that? How are you following a story in a book at the same time you got that in the background that you have to look up and say, "Oh, okay, now I can move on to the next thing." Right, oh my God.
I think it's the background music usually. It clues me in that something important is about to happen, so then I'll look up.
All right, you got me beat, man. I just use the remote and just go right through it. Those in the commercials, and I can get to the next bit. You read through the stuff that's that. Now that the person that over at the Nielsen ratings are going to say, "Oh my God, we can't have them reading while we're doing our show." That's terrible. They're actually reading. That's going to look good on a survey. Yeah, I read through half of your show. No, I don't. Yeah, I just scan through it. I mean, it drives my girlfriend crazy. She goes nuts, man, because she wants to see all the minutia, and I'm like, I just want to go through the minutia. Just get me to the next thing. Now, if you got something going on, then I'm gonna watch it. If it's interesting, I'll follow it and see what's happening. But there's been a couple of series I watched that were very good, and I didn't have to. Matter of fact, I couldn't afford to scan through anything because I probably missed something that I actually need. It was actually information in every single bit. You had to listen. You had to pay attention. Yeah.
All right. So what would you say is something that has really captivated you in the last year or two? I mean, pandemic.
As far as shows,
yeah,
series. Recently, I watched the Amazon series Them.
I haven't seen that.
Which is wow. If you want to talk about a statement on what's happening today, that one is going to do it. It takes place in the 1960s. Black family moves into an all-white neighborhood. Bingo. And it has supernatural elements flowing through it. So it's got some supernatural, I want to say horror, but not the Chucky and, all this stuff. It's very different. It's very subtle, and very creepy. Very well shot, very well acted, very well done. You have to watch all of it. You cannot scan through it. You cannot do anything. It holds you. It moves the story. There's no filler. There's a lot of things. There's a few story points I would have changed if I had done it, that I would prefer to have changed and modified, but that's just coming from a writer standpoint. But as a show, we watched every one of those episodes a couple times a night. We would watch them. We almost got through 3 one night, just because it was absolutely captivating, very powerful, very socially relevant to today. This drama and the conflict is just nose to nose the entire time. And the pace is very methodical. There's no action, craziness, and none of that. It's a very steady, methodical pace. But every single scene gives you something, moves the story. Every scene is important. Everything is important. Very good series. I can't talk enough about it. It is just amazing. Them. I watched the Nevers we're looking at right now. We're going to check out a little bit of that. Looks fascinating. It's Victorian age England, and it's got its own little concept and twist with these women with all these special abilities, etc. Looks kind of interesting. We're kind of watching that. Watched Resident Aliens. It's humor. It's got some comedy in it. And it's a friend of mine is working on it. It's clever piece. Very well written, really well written. And they do a very good job on that episode, on that series as well. That is also Amazon. And I think we watched another one. We watched the other one with, John Cusack. What the heck was that show? And it was they did about 6-7 episodes of it. I don't think I'll do it again, but it was about a comic book that supposedly had all these clues in it. It's this rare comic book that's published. And in this comic book are these things that predict what's going to happen in society. And these people are trying to get the pages. Everybody's trying to find the pages of this comic book because it's so rare. And it has these clues in it for things that are predicting what is going to happen. So it's very interesting, fascinating show. John Cusack is one of the lead characters in it. And it's kind of, there's a little bit of violence in it. It's a little rough here and there for sure. They don't hold back on that, but it's interesting. We watched it all the way through. You didn't have to fast forward through anything. That's all I got to say. As long as you have to fast forward through it.
Right.
So those are the 3, I can't remember the name of that show, but if you, I think I don't know if it's Amazon. It's either Amazon or Netflix. It's either one of those two. And I think it might have been Amazon, but it's John Cusack's a new series about the comic book. If you just type in John Cusack series about a comic book, a rare comic book,
I just did Utopia. Yeah,
yes, that one. That one is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Really good. So that one was it Utopia, right? Is it Utopia? Utopia, Them, and a Resident Alien are the 3 we watched, and we're just in the process of watching the Nevers. I'll see how that goes, but. Those are the 3 we watched all the way through to the end so far.
Nice.
How do I not know about that series? I'm slacking.
I know.
Which one?
The Cusack one, the comic book one. How do I know?
It came out, and they haven't done another season yet. So, and that came out in 2019. Or early 2020. That's when it was. It was early 2020, and they didn't do another season yet. I don't even know if they are going to do another season because they left it open. But they haven't done another season. And so I think they just didn't promote it because there's nothing to promote yet. But, Utopia, definitely. Wow. That thing is crazy. And it is, like I said, it's a little, it's rough in places. I mean, it's kind of brutal physically in a few places here and there, not all the time, but they ain't holding back. Let's put it that way. So very interesting, that, and we watched all the way through just because it's that funny, was The Tick. We watched The Tick. Oh my God, is that hysterical? They're only half hour long. They're 25 minutes long. So they really move. And that is, wow, funny. Extremely funny. Very well written. Great comedy. And it's the live action version, not an animated version. It's a live action version of The Tick. Excellent. Yeah. We watched that all the way to the end as well. Could not get enough.
That one left us
brilliantly written. Brilliant. My comedy is, I like clever comedy. I don't like stupid juvenile slapstick stuff. I don't watch that stuff. I like interesting, subtle comedy stuff that's, it's in the lines, it's in the words. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the circumstances, but just the way. I have one of the lines on my phone still. I just videotaped it off the screen, that I still have it on my phone. The goddamn funniest line I've ever heard in my life. The guy's talking to this dude about an organization that he wants to work with. And the guy is criticizing, and he's telling him, look, he said, when you give them your file, they're going to file your file in the where the fuck did I put my fucking file? That's where they're going to put your file. Fucking hysterical, man. Oh my God. File your file in the where the fuck did I put that fucking file? Oh. Okay, give me that. Give me some of that kind of humor, man. Yeah, where the fuck did I put my fucking file?
I hear that.
All the way through. The Tick is so clever. Tick is very clever. Yeah. Very clever. And it's fascinating to watch. It's a superhero show. And it's really very, very good. I cannot say enough about it. We're waiting for the next, episodes, but there's my list. That's what we watched all the way through. And none of them, are, traditional straightforward shows. That every single one of those shows, from them to Utopia to The Tick to Resident Alien. Are you kidding me? Try to put that in one basket. No. Mm-hmm. Why? Because, I was raised on television and films, and I've seen a lot of television and films. So I want to see something I haven't seen. Give me a story I haven't seen. That's all I'm asking.
Well, you sure bumped them to the top of my list. It was on my list, and now I'm going to go watch it tonight.
Man, have at it. And I guarantee you, I promise you, you will not be using the fast forward button through any of it. Not going to happen. I can promise you that. They are not run of the mill. They are very well made. They are powerful and the two of them are very funny. Resident Alien is hysterical. And Robbie worked on it. Robbie McNeil from my show worked on Resident Alien. So I think he's actually might be co-producing on that show. I think he's co-producing on it.
Oh, cool.
Very, very funny. Very well done. Very well written. Very well acted. All these shows are superbly performed. Very well shot and produced, and very well key thing here, written. Very well written.
Yeah, that helps.
Boy, is that, man, I'll tell you.
That helps.
I'll tell you. That's a big deal with me. It's a big thing with me. I have to deal with so many projects that come across my plate that they're just not, everybody thinks they can do it, they want to add it to their resume, as it were. Well, I want to add astronaut to my resume, but that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Never say never, right?
Yeah, well, they throw me in the cargo bay, and maybe.
Look, man, I feel like I'm feeling a little guilty here. We've taken so much more of your time than I promised we would. I don't want to overstay our welcome here.
No worries. We lost a little time at the front because of that stupid Zoom. But, I found it's a good thing because all I'm doing all day today is Zooming. I have another mentor meeting after this, and then I have an entire read through of a Broadway musical after that.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, I'm going to be on this thing until 6 o'clock or 6:30 tonight. I'm going to be sitting here looking at the screen. Man. Yeah, I can't tell you how thrilled I am about all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have started drinking by now if I were you.
Yeah, that will be later. Yeah.
Right.
Except that I gotta read lines and pretend like I'm a character. So.
That'll help you ad lib, you know.
Yeah, it might get in the way. I will say that the platform, at least, you know, when you got all we got it all dialed in, it does work pretty well. I mean, I've been using this thing all year long, along with half the planet, pretty much.
Yeah.
And apparently, given the way in which the pandemic has affected everybody, we're going to be seeing a lot more of it, even when things get back to normal, as businesses realize they don't have to go back to the building anymore, right?
Yeah. Yep. I've already been told that I am not coming back into the building. Yep.
Right there. A major change and shift in our society because of a stupid virus.
Yeah.
Just that quickly and easily. You can imagine what the dollar count's going to be in the savings to all these businesses in the billions. Yeah. In the billions, if they're not going back into the office to sit at a computer in a cubicle, which you don't need to do.
Right.
And as the president has talked about, the key to doing that is broadband infrastructure, which we should have across the board, along with the stupid cell phone infrastructure. That shit is still not working.
I literally live in a house with no cell coverage, and we have a DSL that gets 1 up and 0.5 down.
This is the problem.
Here from a little tiny booth in a working space.
I'm in the middle of Los Angeles. I can go 3 blocks that way and lose a signal. So,
oh man,
you know, you can if you go to Europe. I was in Iceland working on a project, and I was on the eastern side of Iceland, which is just tundra, glaciers, and some sheep farms. And I had 5 bars LTE on my phone. Okay? No problem. No problem. Thinking when I was going over there that, oh my God, I'm going to have 12 minutes in the hotel with maybe some internet. I can get a hold of everybody at the end of the day. Nope. We are driving in tundra. There's nothing there. There's not even a bush. It's just flat tundra and ice fields. No problem in Iceland because their government sees it important to have infrastructure for broadband and for your cell phone. You should have it. In Europe, the mobile phones they've been ahead of us for decades. They've been ahead of us.
Yep.
We're still, I don't know what this is and what they're charging every month for this garbage, which it is garbage comparatively. I'm sorry. That's bullshit. And that needs to change. Okay. Yep. I don't give a fuck what they're talking about as far as money and how much this and how much that. Take a fucking seat over here, man. You know,
right.
Just give me a goddamn break. All right. You can buy your 4th yacht maybe next year instead of this year. Don't fucking cry me a goddamn river about your fucking income. We need to be able to communicate with everybody from here to fucking Timbuktu in a second from any place. I don't care if it's goddamn cave underground. We should be able to do that. Give me a fucking break. I'm sorry. It pisses me off, man. These people are nothing but a goddamn corporate whore.
I'm with you, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Bullshit. And the broadband, same thing. Every fucking square inch of this place. How in the hell are you going to do commerce? Are we doing commerce electronically, digitally? Are we? Are we not? Yes, we are. This is the fucking world. Man. This is the world. China's about 8 miles ahead of us in that shit. Europe's 20 miles ahead of us. What are we doing? Fucking unbelievable, man. And they'll sit there on their goddamn hands because they pissant don't like the person they, you can't piss me off more than anything. I swear to God.
Hey, man, I'm in Vermont, so it's basically soup cans and string up here for communications.
That's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. Just put the fiber optics in, put the towers in. Let's do this. God damn it, man. Well, somebody somewhere.
There's fiber literally running past my house. Okay, ready? I am on the broadband committee for one Vermont town, and I just moved to a different Vermont town. And I moved where I moved because I knew there was fiber past the house.
Yeah.
Except it's not lit. They have to wait for a federal grant to actually put in the infrastructure to light
it up.
Fiber.
It's already there.
Runs past my house.
God. Jesus.
Well, hopefully, they're trying to do it now. That was on the list of this thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
If we can convince the other jackass party to actually do anything and realize that infrastructure has to include cell towers and broadband. That's what infrastructure. It's 2021. For God's sakes, folks. It's not the 1950s. with a television with a dial on it. Come on, man.
Rabbit ears and your little brother holding it.
For fuck's sake, man. I wish they just can go back to that time and leave us,
Seriously.
It's maddening. When you and I, we can all sit there and we can see it as plain as the nose on our face, and nobody else wants to admit it or do anything about it or realize what's happening. It's phenomenal to me. It really is. Fine. You know what? As I tell them, I got mine. I'm not worried about it. Okay.
Yeah.
I got mine. I'll do what I can to get through it, and that'll be it. They can languish in there forever, as far as I'm concerned. One of these fucking days, they'll wake up and realize what it is and what the hell's going on.
Yep.
Maybe a few more young people instead of the dinosaurs in charge.
Right.
Christ.
Yeah, it's the I got mine culture. It's considered a virtue now.
Yeah, it's an absolute fucking nightmare, man. That's what it is. Nightmare. Pisses me off like that. Don't go to my Twitter page, I can tell you right now.
Oh, hell, I'm following it now.
I will go off on that all the time. I have to worry about losing work because of that shit, probably. Is it, oh, wait a minute. You see his Twitter page? Yeah. Yeah, I do go off. I'll make a comment or two every once in a while.
More power to you.
Hey, man, it's the 2021, dude. I'm not looking back. I'm looking forward.
Right. What are you waiting for?
20 years forward. You got to look 20 years ahead. On average, 20 years. That's what you have to do. Every decision you make should be 20 years into the future. Mm-hmm. Especially as far as being people who are in charge of shit. Yeah. You got to look 20 years down the line, not 20 minutes down the line.
Or 5 years ago.
20 years down. Yeah, or 5 years ago. Yeah, 20 years ago. Yeah, you have to go ahead. You have to predict where things are going so that you can land in that spot.
20 years is a generation. That's no coincidence.
No, yeah. There are people who make things happen. There are people who watch things happen. And then there are people who ask what happened. And you don't want to be in that last category.
Well, some of us, are in a couple categories at any given time, I'm making things happen and I'm wondering what I just did.
What happened? What just happened? Yeah, what was that? What the hell was that?
I made something happen. I don't know.
Insane, man. All of it is insanity. It is organized insanity. Yeah.
Yes.
Crazy. Well, I enjoyed it. Thank you very much for having me on.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. Thanks so much for doing this. It's terrific.
My pleasure.
And that wraps another edition of Open World Chat. We hope to see you next time. Our theme music is by Chris Piatek.